Hello and welcome to the fourth session of Basics of Electricity. Hope you are all doing well. And if you haven't yet, then please go and check out my previous 3 videos about the basics of electricity so that you can have a better grip on this session, which we are going to start. So here we are going to deal with solved examples from DC network. The DC network methods have been discussed in the previous session. Okay, so let's start. Before we can go into the numerical examples, we first are going to acquaint ourselves about dependent and independent sources in a circuit, and then we are going to move on to the solved numericals. Independent sources are those sources which do not depend on any other quantity in the circuit. They can be either time dependent or time independent. The symbolic representations of these types of sources have been shown in the diagram. The time dependent sources are shown as Vt if it is a voltage source and It if it is a current source. And if it is not dependent upon the time, then it is simply shown by V or an I, depending upon if it is a voltage or a current source. Those sources which depend on any other quantity in the circuit are known as dependent source. They can be dependent on voltage or current. They are usually represented by diamond-shaped symbols so as to differentiate them from the independent sources. The dependent sources, the listed ones here in this slide, are the voltage dependent voltage source and the voltage dependent current source. In both the diagrams you can see there is a voltage source. One is alpha V in the first diagram, and in the second diagram it is a current source of the value GV. Both these sources are dependent upon voltage in some other part of the circuit to which belong, that is the voltage V. Alpha is a unitless quantity, it is a constant of proportionality, and G in the second case is also a constant of proportionality, but it has got the unit of conductance, that is Siemens. Other two types of dependent sources are current dependent current source and current dependent voltage source. Here also you see two diagrams. Both are the first one shows a current source of the value beta I, and the second diagram you see it is a voltage source with the value Ri. Both these sources depend upon the value of current I in the circuit, which is a part of the circuit to which both these sources belong to. Beta again is a unitless quantity, it's a constant of proportionality, and R has the unit of resistance, that is ohms. So coming to our first numerical example, we need to find the value of voltage V in the network shown. So this network consists of two sources. One is a voltage source V circulating 2 amperes current, and the other one is a voltage dependent current source of value Vx by 6. Now this is a voltage dependent current source which depends upon the value Vx, which you can see to be a voltage across the 3 ohm resistor in the middle branch. Now we can apply the KVL to loop number 1. Here there is a source V and all the other two elements are the sink in the first loop, that is the 6 ohm and the 3 ohm resistor. So when we solve, we get an equation which is equation number 1 in this case. If we can find Vx in this equation, you can get the value of V. So in loop number 2, we can say that Vx is the voltage across the 3 ohm resistor. So if you can find the value of current passing through this and find a product of the resistance 3 ohms with the current which is passing through it, you can get the value of Vx, and that comes to 12 volts. Substituting this value of Vx in the first equation, we get the value of voltage V, which is 36 volt. Now coming to the second numerical example, two storage batteries A and B are connected in parallel to supply a load of 1.2 ohms. Now in this example, the diagram has not been given, so you have to make your own diagram by reading the question and the data provided in this. So two batteries are connected in parallel and their internal resistances have been mentioned in the question. So they have to be placed in series with their respective source. So we have three branches which are parallel, one consisting of the load and the other two consisting of batteries with their internal resistances. Once the circuit has been made, then it is simple to apply our methods of circuit analysis. Now once the circuit has been made, then we mark the loop currents in the two loops. I1 and I2 are the two currents. The assumed direction has been shown in the clockwise direction, taking into account the polarity of the batteries. Then we apply KVL to the two loops and write the loop equation. Again, I repeat, the method is to put all the sources on one side and all the sink of the circuit on the other side of the equation. When I am applying KVL in loop 1, I am taking current I1 as the direction, which is the reference direction, and accordingly I put my sign of plus or minus to the other currents. So when I am writing my equation and I am stating how much current is flowing through the 0.08 ohm resistor, because this carries two currents through it, I1 and I2. So in the first loop I write it is I1 minus I2 through 0.08 ohm resistor. While in the second loop you can see that through the same resistor I am writing I2 minus I1, because it is the second loop in which I2 has to be taken as the reference current and I1 has to be marked accordingly. That is, if I2 is being taken positive, then naturally I1 is in a reverse direction to that through the 0.08 ohm resistor, and then the sign of the current is decided. Once you go correct with these things, your equations are correct, and when you reduce, they look something like equation 1 and equation 2. These are two simultaneous equations with two unknowns, that is I1 and I2. So it is a purely mathematical problem now to deal with. We rearrange these equations in matrix form. So we have the matrix equation in the form of x a is equal to b, where a is the coefficient matrix, x is the unknown matrix which needs to be found out. So once the matrix has been equation has been known, we apply Cramer's rule. That is a very well known method of solving simultaneous equations of many unknowns. So in order to recapitulate the Cramer's rule, I have put that on the right side of the screen. You can see, those who want to refer, and accordingly you can apply it to this problem. So we need to first find out the determinant of the coefficient matrix, which I have calculated, that is marked with delta. Delta is the determinant of the coefficient matrix. By cross multiplication of the elements and then subtracting them, we get the value of determinant. Minus 0.16 is the value. Now in this step, I have substituted the values of B matrix to the first column of the A matrix, and then I have found out the determinant of that A matrix again, which is determinant 1 or delta 1. So by suitable calculations, my result is minus 0.64. Here the B matrix is again substituted to column number 2 of the A matrix, and then again the step is repeated as previous. The determinant of the A matrix after substitution has been found out, which is delta 2, and it is minus 1.64. Now after all the determinants have been found out, delta 1, delta 2 and delta, we can find out the unknowns, that is current I1 and I2. I1 is delta 1 by delta, which is resulting in the value of 4 amperes current, and I2 is delta 2 by delta, which is 10.25 amperes. So now again, if we refresh our memory by looking at the circuit which we were analyzing, we can say here that I1 is the current which is being supplied by battery A, which is 4 amperes. The second value I2 is the current which is passing through the load resistor, so that is 10.25 amperes, and when we subtract 4 from 10.25, naturally that is the remaining current which is being supplied by battery B, that is 6.25 amperes. So we come to yet another numerical example. By using source conversion technique, find the voltage across the 120 ohm resistor in the circuit shown. Now here you can see in the first diagram, which is the question, we have a 1 ampere current source. Now this needs to be converted to a voltage source. So 1 ampere with a parallel 40 ohm resistor, this combination together has been converted to a voltage source of value which is equivalent. These two boxes are actually equivalent to each other, that is, they are not making any change to the circuit remains unchanged, only the sources have been converted. Now what should be the value of this the voltage source which we have converted to? So the product of the resistor of 40 ohms with the 1 ampere current R into I is the value of the voltage source V, which is 40 volts. This 40 ohm resistor can be treated as an internal resistance of the battery. So it is put in series with it. So we have converted a current source into a voltage source. So this is our new circuit. This circuit is a simple mesh circuit with a supply battery of 40 volt, which is supplying 3 resistors, 40, 120 and 60. So if we assume some currents, that is I1, then it is being divided into two paths. 120 ohm resistor is carrying I2 and the remaining current is being taken in by the 60 ohm resistor. Then by further circuit reduction, we find out the equivalent resistance of this circuit, which is 80 ohms. Now when the circuit has been reduced to its its least form, we can determine what is the current I1 by simply applying the Ohm's law. So 40 volt divided by 80 ohms is 0.5 amperes. That is the current which is being supplied by the battery source. Once you have found out I1, which is the main current supplied by the battery, and then you need to find out how much current is passing through the 120 ohm resistor. So because we have to find out the voltage across this, so if we can find out how much is the current through this, by multiplying the resistance with the current, you can get the voltage across the 120 ohm resistor. So in order to find out the current I2, we can apply the current divider rule here. So if the main supply current value is now known, and we know the resistances of the two parallel paths which are carrying some part of the main current, we can tell how much current is passing through which branch. So I2 can be found out. By multiplying the resistance value with this current, we can get the voltage drop across the 120 ohm resistor, which comes to be 20 volt. So all the viewers of this I need them to do the calculations yourself, and then you should come and look at the solution which has been provided, so that you have the confidence of solving the circuit and you can match up the answer to know whether you are on the right track. So with this, we finish our video session here. This was the last numerical which we were attempting. We will solve some more numerical examples based upon nodal analysis and maybe a little more on mesh analysis in the next video. So don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next upcoming video. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any queries or any discussions regarding the contents of the video today, please mail me at electroshorts.sessions@gmail.com. If you have liked the contents of the video, please like and share it with as many learners as you know and your friends and colleagues. And do not forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you get updated about my next upcoming video. Till then, thank you and keep learning. Goodbye.